Alright, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, giving you commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. And before I get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified on all things from the show. And without further ado, let's get started with yesterday's review of Crown Jewel. Sorry I'm late, by the way. Got a little busy. But either way, let's start. Great match, great opening to Crown Jewel kickoff between the Usos and the Hurt Business. Excellent match, but now let's get down to the opening. Hell in a Cell between Edge and Seth Rollins. Now, it was a great match, and I will say this. Edge's birthday is coming up October 30th, and I will, Lord and universe willing, do a countdown review on my top favorite matches from Edge on October the 30th. So check that out. And this match will be on that list. It was awesome. We saw Edge go for the attempted chair bar crossface, but it failed. Thankfully, he was able to get a crossface in eventually, only to get poked in the eye, which had us nervous. Seth Rollins is a meme you can use for Christmas, after we've all seen that Christmas story a million times, where they warn the kid, you'll shoot your eye out. Ask for a Seth Rollins figure for Christmas, they'll say, he'll poke your eye out. But moving on, Edge had been dominated over in that particular moment. Seth Rollins would use a finisher from Edge's friend Christian the Unprettier, who is now in AEW and Impact, and he will also use the Frog Splash, Shades of Eddie Guerrero. However, the tide would change when Seth Rollins went bouncing from the cell wall onto a table, and Edge would take control using an Edge-O-Matic on the stairs and using a chair to elbow Seth. The only thing that was missing in that moment was a I understand, which is what he did when he dived off the ladder and elbow chaired the Undertaker through a table at SummerSlam 2008's Hell in a Cell. But moving on, Edge attempted a spear, but it got countered into a pedigree for a 2 count. Then we saw Seth get real crazy, tying a chain to his boot for a couple of super kicks, and somehow Edge came back, and Seth might not be having kids anytime soon when he caught that sharp end of that chair in between the legs. Ow! But moving forward, it all started for Edge with the pedigree, and then we also saw Edge try to get a ladder and some tables in with, oh no, he botched it later. And after he did that, it worked against him as Seth Rollins went for a sunset flip from the ladder onto a table. Somehow Edge kicked out, and that's when the super kick started. Thankfully, Edge was able to come back. He was able to lock in that special move when he locks the chair bar on for the crossface and does the wide eyes. I like seeing him do that. And of course, we were expecting him to let Seth tap out, but Seth said he wanted to do more. And this is how his fairy tale ended when Edge used a finisher on Seth Rollins, his own curve stomp for the victory. Like I said, October 30th, 2021, I'm doing a review on top Edge matches, and that's going to be on that list. And I was preparing for this, to be honest, and I had a feeling. And I was rooting for Edge that he would win, but I had a feeling this match was going to be on his top 10. So I'll see you then. But for now, moving on, we have Mansoor, home country fan, versus Mustafa Ali, who turned on Mansoor a couple of weeks back. They were a great tag team at first, but then things got frustrating to Ali and he backstabbed him. And I was rooting for Mansoor all the way because that was his hometown. I did not know that both of them were Muslim wrestlers, but still, that's pretty cool. But Mansoor, I knew Mansoor would be because he's from there. But Mustafa is from Chicago, to my knowledge. But hey, I think they both have the same ethnicity, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, it was a good match. I was surprised that the moonsault didn't finish off Ali because it finished off Cesaro last time they were there. I believe it was at no. I know it was one of those events in Saudi Arabia where Mansoor defeated Cesaro with the moonsault. But moving forth, great match. Mansoor won with a leaping neck breaker. And Mustafa was a sore loser until somebody who was representing Saudi Arabia came out to defend Mansoor, and it was told that he was into karate. Now, I have a few things to learn about him, but I had a feeling that Mustafa needed to run. Of course, he did not, and he got kicked and knocked out. Moving on, RK Bro versus AJ Styles and Omos. First off, Randy Orton is very popular there. If you pay attention, he's very popular. I remember when Team Hogan faced Team Flair at Crown Jewel of 2019, I believe, and it was great. But Randy Orton, even though he was a heel, got a lot of love from the fans that night. So Randy Orton is a huge favorite there, if I'm not mistaken. But that was a good tag match. We saw, I don't know who can stop Omos one-on-one. I really don't. But he could probably become a champion and be champion for as long as Walter. Or Reigns and Brock Lesnar for that matter, which I will get into later in this video. But there was a moment near the end where AJ Styles was supposed to go for the phenomenal forearm, but was countered into an RKO. They say Randy Orton's RKO comes out of nowhere, but I kind of saw that one. Coming because when he leaped in the air, AJ should know that Randy will catch you. It's one of those moments where, like in WWE 2K14, 15, 16, etc., you can do the catch finisher. And that's what happened. So, that being said, RK Bro retains their Raw Tag Team Championships, and that was a amazing entrance seeing Matt Riddle ride a camel to the ring. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle are like The Rock's Matthias and Orpid from the first Scorpion King, which was an awesome movie. Moving forward, also, we have the first ever Queens tournament between Zelina Vega and Piper Niven, as I will address her, because for some reason I don't know if I can really feel that strange name Dewdrop. I don't know. That's just me. But either way, moving forward into that match, it was a great match, really good. I'm surprised that Zelina kicked out of the back senton. I thought she was going to be crushed, but Zelina was my pick to win that match. Even though she's a villain, she was my pick. I had a feeling that WWE would push her in that particular sense, and I think it fits her well because she will rule like an evil Jezebel. So I knew that was my pick. Not so much as because I like her like that, but just I knew they were going to put it for her and give her an amazing push, and it's good to see her getting that push. Now, if we could just get that for Toni Storm, Shotzi Blackheart, and Tegan Nox, I will be great. But I will say this, if you notice, they are extremely covered up. On one hand, I kind of feel bad because I know they need lots of water, because there was one time, I believe it was the Greatest Royal Rumble. Was it the Greatest Royal Rumble or Super Showdown 2019? But in one of those events, Renee Young said she felt like it was 1,000,000 degrees under her dress when she went there at one of those times. So I know it is very hot. So I know they are thirsty and they need water. I hope they don't dehydrate. But at the same time, There is a modest protocol, and I am a firm believer in honoring protocol, and I am a firm believer in respecting rules and principles because I do believe that honor will take you places. So, honoring rules and regulations is a very important key to having good character and things like that. But with that good character, just make sure you come with lots and lots of cold water. Somebody have Bobby Boucher's The Water Boy on standby. Mama said, Mama said I could come get you the water, the water. But either way, and that's not mockery. But I saw the movie The Water Boy. But moving on, congratulations to Vega for becoming queen of WWE. I actually saw that one coming. Also, she was my pick. Moving on to a very personal match, we have Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley. And this is personal because Bobby Lashley put the Hurt Lock on Goldberg's son at SummerSlam. Don't mess with somebody's kids. That's bad news. And thankfully, I think, let me know if what you think about this, but I think Goldberg did better this time than last time. I actually enjoyed the Undertaker versus Goldberg. Maybe it's because it was such a dream match seeing Goldberg versus the Undertaker, and they pulled out their best moves. But at the same time, when I saw the Last Ride documentary, I realized why it was such a disaster. And it was a disaster according to wrestling fans. So hopefully, in your opinions, this match was better than what Goldberg and Undertaker did in the disaster. And of course, this one was not about epicness because it was very personal. It started off with Goldberg attacking Lashley, and Lashley had a chain, and he went after Goldberg. He took control with a fistful of chain. Then he got a chair and started attacking him and crushing his leg with that same chair like Batista did in '03 on an episode of Raw. However, somehow Goldberg was able to come back and spear Lashley, jackhammer, but Lashley was not spared, and Goldberg was not about to stop there. So he continued to beat down Lashley, and the Destroyer, as he was known on TNA, got destroyed as he was speared through the barricade, and the Hurt Business came along and tried to help him. Hurt Business being Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. But it didn't work, and they ended up going to Star Wars with kendo sticks, and Goldberg would take shots at Lashley with a kendo stick. And he speared Lashley off the stage onto tables, and I believe those tables were put there on purpose in some way for their protection, because if they had been speared and they landed on a hardwood floor, it would literally be a miracle if none of them were, quote, killed. Because Goldberg said scriptingly he was coming to kill Lashley for putting his hands on his son. But nonetheless, Goldberg won the match after spearing Lashley through the tables off the stage for the 1, 2, 3, and miraculously, the Almighty was able to walk out on both feet without much assistance. That is a testament to the toughness of the Almighty. Moving forward to the King of the Ring tournament. Finn Balor versus Xavier Woods. We talk about the push of Vega. We talk about the push that Kofi got a couple of years ago, and the push that Big E Langston is getting now. But now it's time for everyone, thankfully, to get their own special singles push, and Xavier is getting an amazing one. That was a great match between Balor and Xavier Woods. It was totally awesome. Xavier needs a singles championship run of his own, whether it's the United States Championship or the Intercontinental Championship. He needs his own push. Who knows? He can be WWE World Heavyweight Champion someday like everybody else. But nonetheless, great match, excellent showing between both the guys, but it was eventually Xavier Woods who would come out and win that King of the Ring tournament. And for the first time in years, We have a face as King of the Ring. We haven't had a face as champion since, or King of the Ring, should I say. We haven't had a face as King of the Ring since Edge. That was 20 years ago. Man, time flies. But we got a face as King of the Ring, and we have the King of Positivity. See what I did there? Now that means two of the Up Down Down channel cast can now be royalty because Vega is a cast member of Up Down Down from time to time. So now we have two royal stars from that channel as king, being Xavier and Vega as queen. Royalty on the Up Down Down channel. Speaking of the New Day, Big E Langston versus Drew McIntyre. It was a great match, but I'm going to tell you something. That entrance by Big E Langston was a bit entertaining and quite hilarious. Let me emulate. You'll never leave me. You'll never forsake me. You're not going anywhere. He sounded like a preacher. He sounded like Bishop E. Langston. That's what I'm going to call him at that moment. At that moment, he was Bishop E. Langston. Clap your hands! Okay. But either way, those two put on an amazing match. Big E versus the Big D. And by the way, let me get this off my chest. A lot of people thought that someone made a joke on YouTube, and a lot of people found it popular when they said Big E versus the Big D. Big D stands for Drew, people. Drew is as tall as the Undertaker. So when they say the Big D, they're talking about Big Drew. He's tall. Stop thinking so nasty. All y'all nasty. I'm just kidding. But either way, the Big D, because he's tall, and Big E went out in a great match. They traded shoulder tackles. No one went down. They traded belly to bellies. And also, they gave their best. Drew giving his double arm DDT as well as a Claymore kick separately. But each time, Big E was resilient. Big E went for his own big ending one time in the middle of the match. Drew kicked out, but it would take another one to finally keep Drew down. And they showed great respect at the end. Drew giving a thumbs up and Big E saying, much respect to you. Do your thing on SmackDown and we will be seeing him tonight. But that was a great match. Both guys pulled out their best foot forward and Big E retains, and I am loving this push that they are giving to Big E Langston. Moving on to another match. The women were great tonight. Last night, should I say. The women were great. They need some water because we have to honor protocol, but it was a great, excellent match. And let's think about this. If you're a modest person and if you have good upbringing like I did, let's just think of it like this. Did it ever cross your mind, ladies, that you don't have to show off all your skin? If you're a religious person, you're probably thinking, hey, guess what? You're covered up and you still look good. If you're a religious person, that is. But we're not here for that. Great match. They need some. Adam Sandler's Bobby Boucher should be on standby because the ladies will need some water to cool down and not dehydrate. Don't dehydrate. That's just for humor because, again, I reiterate, I believe in respect. But it was an amazing triple threat match. And I'm going to tell you guys something. As great as that match was, I didn't see anything after Bianca hoisted Sasha in midair and held her with one arm. That was amazing. I didn't see anything else after that happened. I did not. Honestly, I barely saw anything after that. That was an amazing test of strength by the strong S. See what I did there? But hey, great showing. Becky Lynch had a very funny moment when she went for a drop kick from the top and got caught by Bianca and Sasha. Hey guys, can we be friends? Can we be friends? And she got thrown back into the turnbuckle. But Becky Lynch has some highlights of her own. Double disarming both Bianca and Sasha, only to have Bianca pick up both ladies at the same time. And of course, there was a moment where Bianca was in the bank statement as well as the disarmor and did not tap out. Otherwise, we would have been seeing 2012 SummerSlam all over again. But Bianca is also the tough S for not tapping out. But nonetheless, it was a roll up to Sasha, and she cheated, Becky, I'm speaking of, to win the match and retain her title. But hey, I think Bianca and no, not Bianca, Becky and Charlotte are gonna have to switch championships like New Day and the Street Profits did last year, because one's blue, one's red, and they gotta switch. So it happens. So last but not least, we have the mayor of Suplex City versus the head of the table, the one, Roman Reigns. In this match, Roman did everything he could to avoid Suplex City. But eventually, he went, and he took 4 suplexes before going for an F5 for a 2 count. And before that, we saw Roman fly, which we have not seen in a long time, and we saw a spear for a 2 count. But after the epicness of that part, Paul Heyman would throw a championship belt in the middle of those two and said, "You know what to do with it." And so a tug of war came along. The Usos came out, or as Michael said, "Those darn Usos." And it's funny because Michael says, "Those darn Usos," 20 years after Jim Ross used to say, "Those darn Dudleys." But the Usos interfere, and Roman hits Brock with a championship belt, and Roman retains the championship and remains the one. Well, let's see what the aftermath is. That's all the time I got for you today. I'll be back tonight with a review on Friday Night SmackDown. Have a good Friday, folks.